Hello, and welcome back to Divine Encounters, the channel where we explore the most profound and life-changing stories from the Bible. If you find our content inspiring, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring these powerful messages to more people. Today, we delve into a story of quiet desperation, unshakable faith, and a miracle that unfolded in the middle of a bustling crowd. Picture the scene. The streets of a Galilean town are overflowing. Dust kicks up from hundreds of sandals. The air is thick with anticipation and the murmur of countless voices, all straining to catch a glimpse of one man, Jesus of Nazareth. He's moving through the city, but the sheer press of the crowd makes every step a struggle. People are pushing, reaching, calling out his name. It's a chaotic, overwhelming human sea. But hidden within this tumultuous throng, a lone figure moves with a different kind of urgency. She's a woman, her face likely etched with years of pain and sorrow. She isn't shouting. She isn't trying to get his attention with loud cries. She moves with a quiet, steely determination, weaving her way through the maze of bodies, her eyes fixed on a single goal. For her, this is not just about seeing a famous teacher. This is her last, desperate chance at life. For 12 long years, this woman had been trapped in a living nightmare. An unceasing flow of blood had left her physically weak, chronically anemic, and in constant discomfort. But her suffering was more than just physical. According to Jewish law, her condition made her ceremonially unclean. This meant she was an outcast, a pariah. She couldn't enter the temple to worship. Anyone she touched, or even anything she sat on, would also become unclean. She was isolated, cut off from her community, her friends, and her family. Imagine 12 years of being untouchable, of seeing people shrink away from you, of living in the shadows. She had tried everything to find a cure. The Gospel of Mark tells us she had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had. Yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. Think of the emotional toll of that. Each new physician brought a flicker of hope, only to be extinguished by failure. Her savings, her livelihood, everything she owned was poured into treatments that only left her poorer and sicker. Hope, once a comforting friend, had become a cruel stranger. She was left with nothing, no money, no health, no community, and seemingly no future. But then she heard about Jesus. She heard stories of the blind seeing, the lame walking, the lepers being cleansed. These weren't just rumors of a skilled healer. They were whispers of divine power at work. A tiny, fragile seed of faith began to sprout in the barren ground of her despair. It was a radical, almost audacious thought, but it took root in her heart and grew into a powerful conviction. She thought to herself, if I can just touch his clothes, I will be healed. This wasn't a casual wish. It was a belief born from the deepest part of her being. She didn't feel worthy to interrupt him, to call out and make a scene. In her mind, she was unclean, insignificant. But she believed the power radiating from him was so immense, so pure, that even the smallest, most indirect contact would be enough. The fringe of his garment, the very edge of his robe, that was her target. This simple piece of cloth became the focal point for all her remaining hope. So, with a deep breath and a prayer in her heart, she pushes forward. Every jostle from the crowd threatens to knock her off her feet, but her resolve is unbreakable. She gets closer and closer. She can see the tassels on the hem of his robe swaying with his steps. Her heart is pounding in her chest. This is it. With a final surge of effort, she stretches out her hand, her fingers trembling with a mix of fear and anticipation. Her fingertips graze the fabric. It's a fleeting, almost imperceptible touch, but in that single, silent moment, everything changes. Instantly she feels it. A wave of warmth and vitality surges through her body. The bleeding, the constant companion of her suffering for over a decade, stops. The chronic weakness that had plagued her vanishes, replaced by a strength she hadn't felt in years. She knows, with absolute certainty, that she is whole. The 12-year nightmare is over. She has been healed, completely and miraculously. She probably wanted to just melt back into the crowd, to carry her newfound miracle in quiet, grateful anonymity. But Jesus stops. Right there, in the middle of the suffocating crowd, he comes to a dead halt. The people behind him bump into him, confused. He turns, his eyes scanning the faces around him. Then he asks a question that seems utterly baffling to his disciples. Who touched me? Peter, ever the practical one, is almost dismissive. Master, he says, the people are crowding and pressing against you. It's a logical response. In a crowd this dense, dozens of people were brushing up against him. How could he possibly single out one touch? It was like asking who touched you in the middle of a mosh pit. The question seemed absurd. But Jesus wasn't talking about a casual, accidental bump. He knew this touch was different. He repeats with a calm certainty that silences all argument, "Someone touched me. I know that power has gone out from me." He felt it. It wasn't a physical push. It was a spiritual draw. This wasn't someone taking something from him without permission. It was someone accessing his divine power through a channel of pure, unadulterated faith. When the woman realizes she cannot hide, a wave of fear washes over her. She has been discovered. She, an unclean woman, has touched a holy teacher. What will he do? Will he be angry? Will the healing be revoked? Trembling, she comes forward and falls at his feet. In front of the entire crowd that had once shunned her, she confesses everything. She tells him why she touched him and how she was instantly healed. She lays her story, her shame, and her miracle bare for all to hear. The crowd falls silent, hanging on her every word, and then Jesus looks at her, and his face is not one of anger or judgment, but of profound compassion. He doesn't rebuke her, he honors her. He says to her, "Daughter." He calls her daughter, restoring her identity and her place in the community in a single word. "Your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." Let's pause and absorb the weight of that statement. Jesus makes it crystal clear. It wasn't magic in the cloth. The garment itself had no power. It was her faith that acted as the conduit. Her desperate, determined, even if I only touch his hem faith was what made her well. Jesus didn't just heal her body. He affirmed her spirit. He saw her not as an unclean outcast, but as a daughter of faith. He didn't just stop the bleeding. He invited her out of the shadows and into the light, publicly restoring her dignity. This encounter teaches us something vital about the nature of faith. It's not about grand gestures or loud proclamations. Sometimes it's a quiet, desperate reach in the middle of a chaotic crowd. It's believing in a power greater than our suffering, even when we feel unworthy to ask for help directly. Her story shows that faith is an action. She didn't just believe. She acted on that belief, pushing through physical and social barriers to make that one connection. This was so much more than a physical healing. It was a divine encounter where the deepest human desperation met unstoppable divine power. For 12 years, she was defined by her sickness and her isolation. In one touch, she was redefined by her faith and her relationship with God. Her years of suffering were not just ended, they were redeemed. Her life wasn't just restored, it was reborn. What walls of sickness, shame, or isolation are you facing today? The story of this woman is a powerful reminder that no situation is beyond hope. It encourages us to reach out, even with trembling hands, believing that even the slightest touch of faith can connect us to a power that can make us whole. Thank you for joining us on Divine Encounters. We hope this story has touched your heart. If it has, please like, share this video with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribe for more deep dives into the powerful stories of the Bible. Until next time, go in peace